This is Be My Guest, episode number 3, Reclaiming the Psychotic Identity. And I am Eric Guest. I have gone through a variety of different things in my life, from children's psychiatry institutions to the adult psychiatry institutions. And I've seen a lot of different things. I've lived through a lot of different things, through medications, through different doctors, through different ways of approaching. You could say the best way to heal or recover from some of these mental health problems, psychotic breaks, depressions, different things. But ultimately, I see a hole or an opportunity that people such as myself, coming out of these lived experiences, struggle severely to obviously find their way again in life after going through some of these things, building back confidence, not being ashamed or embarrassed of a lot of these things. And I want to essentially represent how I did it, the things I do, and potentially give people a direction or a formatting to better their lives or make their lives easier or more enjoyable in any way possible after going through some of these traumatic, terrible experiences, you could say. So I want to be a voice of this. I want to be essentially a defender of these people. I believe we get misrepresented. We get very negatively represented in the world through media, through movies, through shows, through word of mouth, through history. People of mental institutions, the people of mental health and psychiatry, have a very negative perception, or they are viewed upon. They are the insane people, the lunatics, the madmen, etc. The list goes on of the names. So essentially, I'm going to defend the people, my kin, of these experiences stronger and more ferociously than anyone has ever defended them before. That is my goal. That is what I am setting out to do on this series and on this path of Be My Guest. So, talking through mental health, different lived experiences, different situations with doctors, medications, everything that goes into that world, I will discuss. I will discuss it openly. I'll discuss it honestly, because I'll say this. I'll level with you guys here. For a long time, I was terrified. Terrified, embarrassed, ashamed, whatever you want to call it, to admit or to recognize that this was my life now. That these I guess you could say, mental health problems, these illnesses, this illness was my life now. And I wouldn't say it was denial, but I never wanted to give it more power than it deserved to have. I never wanted to empower this label or this illness even more, to have more control over my life, or for me to think I'm any less capable of achieving and doing great things because of this thing. And it's funny, I guess. In a sense, I am identifying strongly to this world, making this series and defending people and talking about this stuff frequently, but not in a victim mentality, not in a why me mentality. It's a empowerment. It's a shift of the mind into a I'm still capable. I am capable. I will achieve. I'm able to achieve these great things despite this potential illness or thing that could weigh me down. So that is the mission: reclaiming who we are, what we are, despite the institution, despite the pharmacies, the medical institutions, the doctors, giving us a name, giving us a label, and telling us who we are, to take that label and take that identity to our graves. I I never agreed with it, nor will I ever agree with taking a label from a doctor and letting that identify me and categorize me for the eternity of my life. From the very beginning, I was very, very against that sort of thinking. And honestly, it took a long time for me to even start trusting these doctors a little bit and meeting them on common ground over this scenario and situation, I would say. Because I would go in and I would talk to these doctors and I would constantly, I don't know if berate them is a good word, but I'd kind of challenge their ideas. I would challenge the way they went about things. I would challenge how they wanted to deal with the illnesses or how they dealt with medications, whatever it was. And I understand they come from a lineage of the medical system. They probably have a set guideline of how they treat people, and if they've seen people act this certain way with these certain symptoms, they go into this category, they get treated this way. It's a pretty standardized system. Same as schooling, education. It goes right through the medical system. It's all the same. But I would go in and I would battle the doctor, essentially saying, I don't agree with how you guys approach the medical. I don't agree with how you approach dealing with this situation. I don't agree with how the mindset is and your mentality towards my health or how I'm going to get better. It never made sense. It never sat right with me. It was always a more of a victim. You are now a victim of the system. You are now a victim of life. You will now deal with this very negative thing for the rest of your life and be very strongly associated and tied to it in many different ways. And I never agreed with it. I was always kind of, I would, I guess you could say stubborn. I was always stubborn against it. I've always been stubborn with authority. So hearing similar things from a doctor was no different, honestly. But I would say a mistake that is often made, and in this video today, in today's show, I'm gonna give a few examples of kind of the interpretation and the image that's painted over people who go through mental illnesses and kind of the world of mental health. We are painted in a light that isn't representative of us. We are being represented by people who have potentially never experienced these things, people who don't fully know what it's like to maybe have close friends or family members go through these things. So we're getting an outsider's view on these mental health situations, on these mental illnesses, on these psychotic episodes, whatever it is, and they are painting the narrative and defining the world for us. Instead of having someone such as myself be a representative and a voice of our own to what we think about the system, what we think can be done, and what we think can be done to better our own lives and everything that goes into that. So I'm going to go through a couple examples through YouTube that honestly, I've thought about making a video similar to this for a long time. This one specific example has sat with me for a very long time that I never I never quite felt right about it. I never liked it. I'll say this. When I first initially watched this video on YouTube, it left a very negative impression on me. And I would say that's probably due to my personal experiences with a similar situation and then how they went about making that negative traumatic situation of my life into a entertainment funny experience for the world to be entertained by. So that's a little sneak peek preview of a YouTube video we'll be getting into. And yeah, like I said earlier, I will always be incredibly honest. I will be incredibly raw and open. I have nothing to hide. I'm a 25-year-old male that has gone through 7 years, my late teens, my early adulthood, of different medications, in and out of psychiatric facilities, different psychiatrists, weight gain, weight loss from medications, depressions. It has been a journey of this, and that isn't anything to be ashamed of. I am not scared to hide from that anymore. I'm not scared to hide from the world anymore. I am now a representative of that world. I am a representative of those people. And I'm not a victim, ultimately. That's what it comes down to. I'm not choosing to be a victim. I don't care for pity or sympathy for these things. It doesn't appeal to me to have your sympathy or to have someone feel pity for me. I don't care. I want to defend my kin and these people and defend the people throughout history who were never able to have a voice that I have now. All the people that were institutionalized for the entirety of their lives, that were tortured, experimented on, beaten, sexually abused, all of these people in insane asylums and psychiatric institutions that went through those things, that probably stayed there for their whole lives, that probably died there. This is who I speak for. And this is who I fight for now. I fight for all of those people. It doesn't matter if you look like me. It doesn't matter if you agree with me. If you have gone through similar life experiences, if you have mental health or mental illness labels or diagnosis, or have experience in the mental health world, I will defend you with every ounce of passion and heart that I have. Because I don't really feel that there are people fighting for and standing up for us. And again, that's not pity. That's not like, come on, someone come save us. It's just, that's what I want to do. I want to represent it, and I want to be a positive representation, an example of what someone can still achieve and what someone can still become out of this type of life. Because for the most part, I would say, if you think about, and maybe this is a stereotype, but you'd think maybe someone is often psychotic. They go through psychosis. Pardon me. Maybe they're schizophrenic or bipolar, and they go to mental institutes, and they're in and out of these mental institutes. Maybe they end up homeless. Maybe they end up drug addicts. I'm sure that's a pretty stereotypical view of what a lot of people in the mental health and psychiatry system are. They're homeless, drug addicts, whatever, just lost, fallen souls that slipped through the cracks of the world, that never got their chance, that they're lost maybe. And yes, that's a lot of people, unfortunately. It's a lot of people in this system and in this world, unfortunately, that is their lives and that is what they deal with. But I also want to try to be a very positive example that this can be your life and you can still go on to achieve, to make a life, a career of whatever you want. It can be whatever you want. You can be a dreamer. You can be a visionary. You can be an architect of the world. And that's what I am. And that's what I will show people that I am. But that is our little intro And now let's get into, I will get into the first video. It is a Mr. Beast video, actually, that I teased a little bit earlier on, that we will be watching and I will be reacting to. So, let's watch Mr. Beast. Evil Mr. Beast. Let me get my headphones on here, ladies and gents. Let me make sure all my streams are muted, so there's no echoing through, and then we will watch this video together. Okay. Evil Mr. Beast. Okay, let me just get my headphones connected. Do 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 do. Okay, headphones connected, just like that. So this video, he says, Mr. Beast here says,
I'm going to attempt.
I spent 7 days in solitary confinement, and there's a couple things in this video that I want to touch on, and I'm kind of just, I guess I'm going to go through my mindset towards some of these things, some of these different things he goes through. But there's one thing in particular that they'll talk about, and it's their mention of psychosis. And when he and this doctor mention psychosis in this video, they make it sound very taboo, very mysterious. This thing, this psychosis. He says, I have the potential to go into psychosis, like scary. That's why they have a doctor on standby. And I think it's wrong. I think it's disgusting, honestly, that this video is made for views, for entertainment, for fun. And this is obviously this is a set that they made, but people, myself included, have been in these situations at hospitals, going through psychosis, and been in very negative situations, fracturing of the psyche, fracturing of the identity, being delusional, having hallucinations, being in very vulnerable, scary, traumatic situations for someone to come and make a video just for their own entertainment sake. And yeah, I think it's pretty disgusting. So we're gonna get into Evil Mr. Beast video here. Oh yeah, let's get into the Mr. Beast video.
To spend the next 7 days in solitary confinement. Seal me up. Bye, Jimmy. Hopefully I don't go insane. For the next 7 days, I have to survive in this soundproof white room with 0 human contact and 0 stimulation. And because this is actually psychologically dangerous, the most important thing is the doctor outside making sure I don't go insane.
I worked in psych hospitals for 23 years, and this is much worse than anything I've ever seen. Anything past 50 hours in a
Okay, so first of all, that guy's a clown. Let's get that out in the open. Whoever that doctor is a clown. Saying this is much worse than anything he's ever seen. You're a clown. You're an idiot. One, he's here voluntarily. He's choosing to do this. He's in a good state of mind. He knows he's going to be fed properly. And not that people that go to psychiatric institutes or get formed, whatever that is, don't get fed. But this is the fundamental difference in doing something like this. Mr. Beast, Jimmy here, knows that he will get to leave this place. He knows after a certain time he will get to leave. most people that go into a psychiatric hospital or a psychiatric facility going through psychosis or an episode of mental health, whatever, they don't know when they're going to leave. And that little key difference changes the situation psychologically very, very drastically to just doing this little something for fun in this little set that you have compared to someone actually being in a hospital with having maybe they're in the highest concentrated PICU section of high security, the most intense nursing and security and highest attention paid to you. And maybe those people who are in actual facilities are getting locked in their room, are getting restrained to beds, are getting injected with needles and syringes to be put to sleep or to be seduced and to be put under. So I would say that's much worse. On top of being potentially delusional, going through an episode of schizophrenia, psychosis, mania, all these different things, severe depression, than being perfectly healthy, going into this little prop set and being, oh my God, this stupid retarded doctor being like, this is far worse than anything I've seen in 20. What an idiot. First off, idiot alert. Now let's get into the video. It's only 27 seconds in. What an idiot. Okay,
A white room like this can lead to permanent psychological damage.
And I'm about to do 168 hours. There is a chance that I actually start to lose my mind and go into something called psychosis. And they have to pull me out because it could cause permanent damage to me.
He survived 7 days.
See, they're like giddy. He's like giddy. It's like, I could go into psychosis. Oh my God, I could go into this thing called psychosis. It's gross, okay? It's gross. I've been in psychosis multiple times. And I have been in not padded rooms such as this. I don't think they have these anymore. But I've been in the most intensive security-ridden parts of psychiatry wards in psychosis for multiple weeks at a time, delusional in these deluded states with a lot going on. So for them to just be kind of giddy and laughing, like jokingly about this, I think is pretty gross.
Days buried alive. Is this much harder?
Much harder. He doesn't have social contact. If your brain doesn't have information coming in, it generates craziness, it generates hallucinations, it generates paranoia.
And all I have to survive for the next week.
And I mean, we'll get into the video a little more. I won't keep pausing it. But even this stupid doctor here saying it generates craziness. Like, what is that terminology? What is that language that he's speaking? Being isolated without social input from others generates craziness. Like, what is that? What are you even saying? Why wouldn't you say it can generate actions that may be abnormal, that may be different from someone's normal actions or behaviors, instead of being, oh, it generates craziness. So, stupid idiot doctor, another stupid idiot point. Keep going.
Is a bed to sleep on, a notebook with a pen, a refillable bottle of water, toothbrush with toothpaste, and a bar of soap. A toilet to use the bathroom.
So he has a pen. They wouldn't be allowed to have pens in actual psych wards. No pencils, no pens, only crayons. Can't hurt people with a crayon.
Bathroom and a sink for water. At this point, it was clear to me it was going to be difficult to entertain myself during this challenge, especially on hour 9 when I did this. You're probably wondering, how many tiles are on these walls? The correct answer is 1,900. And if you want the roof and floor included, then it's 2,860. But more importantly than all of that, according to my stomach, it is time to eat food. If you're wondering how I'm eating during this challenge, there's a conveyor belt here, which spans over 100 feet, so I can be fed without any human interaction. I think I've been in here around 14 hours. Isn't it crazy that at this point, I was already off by 2 hours?
So I guess they made it a real strong point here to make sure that he has no social interaction with anyone else, even how they set up his food coming in. I mean, this type of isolation is obviously different than what you would get in a psych ward. I mean, it maybe in a forensic jail would be different, the isolation for some people. Maybe the more extreme, potentially dangerous people might get more high doses of isolation, you could say. So that's something they're doing here.
So far, the hardest part of the challenge is no one's fed me yet. In hindsight, I should have ate more food before I came in here.
Well, okay, we got ads here. No YouTube Premium for me. Let's see what this smart doctor's saying again. See if he's making smart points again.
My brains. Maybe I just lay here for the next 5 days.
The reason he has insomnia is he doesn't need to sleep. He wants to sleep this off and just get it over with, but what he should be doing is trying to do something that is going to occupy his attention while he's awake.
He's climbing the wall.
It's the natural human urge for freedom. He's regressing to primal instinct.
Why did I think it was 4 p.m.?
Another interesting thing, I would say, so if you've seen this video before, or even that little brief clip of him climbing the wall in this video, it's interesting that the actions are going to look unusual when you're in a very isolated place, when you don't have a lot of things to do in an actual psychiatric facility or a psychiatric ward. You probably don't have your phone. You don't have access to the internet. There's a TV in a common room, but you're not going to have pens. You're not going to have a variety of things to do. So really, it's just you isolated in a bedroom and in a altered state of reality, in a deluded you're hallucinating, whatever it is. You're probably going to do weird things. So I guess from an outsider's point of view, maybe from family members coming in and looking, or nurses or doctors or security looking in at some of these patients, what they're seeing is kind of like, yeah, obviously people are going to do weird, crazy, unusual things when there's absolutely nothing to do in a room that you're locked in for days on end. So it's kind of, I don't know how much doctors take that into consideration. That's because even I personally, I have all my own notes from my times in hospital, and some of them the doctor will say, oh, they're doing they'll say he's doing this or this. Then maybe they're writing that down because it's concerning or it's strange. Which maybe it is. Maybe I am doing that just because I'm being weird or crazy, whatever it is. Or it could genuinely be I'm locked in a room with no stimulations, with nothing to do. I've been in here for days. I'm just entertaining myself. I'm being me. I'm being me, freely expressing myself. So it could also be that at the same time. So
Doesn't that mean it's 9 p.m.? And by the time I had gotten around eating my first meal, it was 4:30 in the afternoon.
Don't get me wrong,
Jimmy
the
and his
food
undies.
looks good, but it is freezing cold.
Ugh. I'd rather starve than eat the rest of this. So. And when my second meal had arrived, it felt like only minutes had passed.
What just came through the conveyor belt?
Wait, how long has it been?
Am I supposed to eat both, or? It definitely was day 2 when I got the second breakfast, but I didn't eat much of the breakfast. So maybe they felt bad because I didn't eat much of the breakfast. Well, no.
At this point, I had no idea how long that first meal was sitting in the conveyor.
honestly, it's been a long time since I've watched this video. I really wanted to touch on that point of him and the doctor at the beginning of the video talking about, oh, I might go into something called psychosis. I really wanted to touch on that, which I think
Air
is...
belt for.
He's getting a little paranoid. That's the thing that can get worse as time goes on. It's only day 2.
I'm not sure what to do. I think I'm gonna just see how high I can count. 1, 2, 3. You know, I don't really feel that stressed at all, but There's green grass. Someone's fishing.
He's literally making up scenarios in his head right now.
Oh my God. All in all, it's very sunny. I hear birds. You ruined my.
That's kind of. I'll touch on this. So they said he's kind of making up own situations in his head right now. So if you are, say, a mental health patient going through a severe episode of psychosis or a psychotic break, and you're having these hallucinations or you're having these experiences, being trapped in a space that is maybe just four walls and a bed potentially with restraints on it if you're lucky. If you're one of the lucky ones, you get restraints on your bed. But so he's making up like a delusional scenario to put himself in a better state of mind or a better situation than what he's currently in. So maybe when you're locked in these rooms, these little hospital rooms or little psychiatric rooms, it's almost exacerbating the symptoms of the episode, the symptoms of the psychotic break, because there's nothing to do. You're in a crappy situation, especially these dull, kind of lifeless feeling hospital rooms. Oftentimes you're probably going to really want to be somewhere else. So maybe the actual situation that you are in and surrounding area exacerbates some of the problems going on.
I walk in the park.
Oh my God. We're watching him slip into madness.
Ooh, they gave me more food. But it looks like we got some rice, sweet potato, and steak. This is the best meal I've gotten so far this challenge. If you look right here, you'll see some rice. And any ordinary human would probably eat this rice. But I'm gonna count it. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 17, 98, 90.
Yeah, you'll just do weird things when you have nothing else to do. You'll dance freely, you'll become a magician, whatever. You'll count rice.
99, 100, 104, 255, 266, 257, 207, 308, 309, 310. 20, 421, 422, 423, 445,
Getting all the
Got flavor block? Get spicy.
Whole lot of ads. My apologies, folks.
calories he needs. But the reason for that is that he's so understimulated, he thinks he's starving.
I ended up checking for food over and over and over again. This is oddly soothing. Do you think I'd get a concussion from doing this? You should probably stop. You're right. I should probably stop. There's a bag of McDonald's here.
I think he's kind of playing into like the crazy people banging their heads off the walls type. Like, honestly, what is this? He's in this for 7 days? I don't think that's that challenging at all. He knows he's gonna leave. He's being fed. He's getting all of his meals, and he knows he gets to leave after 7 days. Anyone can survive a week. If anyone can be bored for a week, yes, you're gonna be very bored, but him like banging his head on the wall and like, I think he's just being an idiot.
Here is suspiciously light. If there's not McDonald's in this bag, I'm going to be depressed. There actually is. Well, that's inside this room, and I have a
Let's see what Smart Doctor says again.
feeling at some point I'm gonna want to leave.
It's day 4.
No matter how much I beg or scream or plead.
Whoever's editing this, show them how many hours I actually have remaining. Hopefully, it's somewhere close to 55 hours.
I think he's going to get angry and possibly paranoid about what's going on.
Is a man not allowed to have privacy? There's a camera there, there's a camera above that, there's a camera. There's so many cameras on me 24/7. I'm going.
This is how you actually feel when you're actually in a hospital as well. Because they have cameras in your room, in the hallway. Just cameras pointed at you everywhere. So this is pretty funny. I guess they got that accurate. You can't even there's nothing you can do to hide from the cameras. You can't tape over them. I mean, people probably throw feces and food at them and whatnot, but yeah, and even in like these delusional states, constantly having a camera on you, I think very, very much so adds to like paranoia, especially in today's world with very conspiratorial minded people that kind of spread through the world. These ideas kind of spread through the internet like viruses. So the conspiracies of the government's always watching or Big Brother's always watching, and then you're in this delusional hallucinating state and you have cameras on you everywhere. It's like, yeah, Big Brother's really watching. So it's like, it's interesting.
Go insane! What if we throw the camera through the conveyor? Genius.
I treat it like bowling.
Somehow I hit my finger. About the one time that I counted to 100,000. Is this freaking fruit punch throughout this entire
Like some
Okay, I think
and
I think that's probably all we'll get through on this video. There's probably not much more here.
5,000.
Hold up. Sorry, I was just putting my pants on. It's not as bright out here.
How is it, dude?
I'm actually kind of lightheaded. You know what's crazy, but after this challenge, I kind of forgot how to interact with humans.
Where are you going?
It's actually relieving.
Okay. So that's the Mr. Beast surviving 7 days in solitary confinement video that I wanted to kind of talk about. And I'll close out talking about that video on saying even that is him, an outsider. I mean, I don't think Jimmy's gone through psychosis or has these. I mean, I shouldn't speak for him, but I don't think he has many mental health problems. So for him to go and make use of these people going through these experiences as entertainment, as monetization for his videos, to like joke and have fun and make, you know what I mean? There wasn't much education behind that video. There wasn't much awareness to the potential dangers of people in those states of mind. There wasn't any help that people could get for being in those situations. It was just it was an entertaining taboo. Psychosis is a scary thing with this dumb doctor. That it's like this set that Mr. Beast built of his padded walls and all the cameras is definitely the worst thing he's ever seen in his 20 years of psychiatry. For sure, man. For sure. So, yeah, there's that. That's kind of one example of people that they're poking fun at that. I would like to take Jimmy and dose him up with, give him a hero's dose of mushrooms or hallucinogenics, acid, whatever. Give him a big hero's dose, and then put him in there and not let him know when he's going to leave. And then we'll see if he has the same amount of fun as he did. And I'll be the one that gets to let him out. I think that would be much more realistic than this little fun nonsense that he was doing here. So yeah, we're gonna hero dose you with mushrooms constantly, so you're tripping balls, and then we're gonna shove you in the room, and we're not letting you out till I say so. Okay, Mr. Beast? And then we're gonna see how you like it. Honestly, that sounds like MK Ultra. That's kind of messed up. It sounds similar, almost exactly, to what they were doing to these psychiatric patients during the MK Ultra stuff, the Allen Memorial Institute up in Montreal, and all throughout. There was a bunch of different places they were doing this, but essentially, if anyone doesn't know what MK Ultra was, it was like the CIA and special intelligence industries for like Canada and the States. They were taking psychiatry patients and just dosing them up with LSD and drugs and experimenting on them and doing all kinds of demented, demonic things to them, essentially, because that's what they do to psychiatric patients. We are the testing dummies of the world. And I don't think Mr. Beast would like that very much. Wouldn't you, Jimmy? No, you wouldn't. So yeah, that's one example of, I guess, a very large, influential person, Mr. Beast, the most subscribed person on YouTube, kind of making light of a situation that people go through, a underrepresented class of people, these mental health patients, these psychiatry patients, people with mental illnesses, and making fun of and poking light at probably one of the most traumatic situations that they ever went through in their life. The breaking of their psyche, being very isolated, being maybe taken away from their homes or taken by the cops and forced into these hospitals or restrained to beds and restrained into these rooms. And it was probably left a very traumatic, impactful thing that is now going to they're going to deal with that and carry that throughout the rest of their lives with them. So to have a very, very influential person such as Mr. Beast here, and I don't mean to just come here and criticize and bash him about this video, but I think he could have done a lot more to add educational value in something like this. He could have defined psychosis. He could have humanized psychosis. He could have humanized or brought in people that have gone through these situations or been in a similar situation to these, instead of just saying, you know what, this is where the crazy people go. This is what crazy people go through, which is how they represent and paint the picture of the mental health and the mental illness class of people all throughout time. This is how they paint it. This is the exact thing they do. They say crazy people go into the insane asylums, crazy people go into the white padded rooms and they bang their heads off the walls. So I'm going to go be one of them and show, you know what, normal person, it's no big deal. It's fun. It's fun and it's entertainment for me. So there's that. And the next video we are going to watch is actually, it's from an interview that I saw, I think it was a couple weeks ago. So it is, the video is of Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones. They're having a conversation. And they're having a conversation about Kanye West, who everyone knows in the world, Kanye West is a eccentric, impulsive, sporadic person. But he has tons and tons and tons of great qualities. He's an artist. He's a visionary. He's a lot of great things. But he also comes with his struggles, with his mental health problems. And I've noticed this throughout, I would say, the last couple of years, as it pertains to when it comes to the social media and these people of high positions talking about Kanye West. They'll always talk about his actions. They'll always talk about his words, things he's saying, things he's doing. And they'll call him crazy for it. They'll call him insane. They'll say all of these names, and they'll say everything that he is, an anti-Semite, whatever it is, whatever the name, whatever the slander, whatever the derogatory names they want to call Kanye West. But more and more, they fail to incorporate the mental health and the mental illness background that he has. They almost just diminish that and push that to the side and leave that out entirely and say that over there has nothing to do with what he's saying and doing now. He's saying and doing these things because he's crazy and he's insane and he's hateful, and he's pushing this message, and he's pushing people to be hateful, and they ignore this well-known from his family, from his history, from his past, of these problems, you could say, these struggles, challenges of mental health that he has had and deals with, and they just ignore that completely to say he's a hateful person, or to say he's a drug addict, he's crazy, he's insane. And it's very wrong. It's very disgusting. And that's not to say that someone with mental health problems or mental health illnesses, struggles, difficulties, gets a free pass to the world and gets a free pass to say whatever you want, do whatever you want, potentially be hateful or spill racist, anti-Semitic views, whatever it is. That doesn't give you a pass to do these things. But when someone is potentially in a state of mind or in an episode that they are not being their grounded level self, balanced in health, balanced in mind, healthy, good, stable people around them, good, stable-minded body, spirit themselves, what they do in that time when it comes to being impulsive or being sporadic or lashing out at people, you can't forget that they still have challenges, that they still have a very well-known history and past of mental health and mental illness challenges. So for the media to ignore that side of Kanye and just deem his bursting out and lashing out as him being crazy and these different kinds of things, I think it's weird. I don't know why they ignore that. And again, that's not to say you can be excused from life and be excused from all your potential actions, but you do need a little sympathy and a little account for that side of his life and that side of his health in particular. So we're going to watch this interview that Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones did, talking and discussing Kanye West. And again, they leave out that portion of his health problems, and they chalk him up as he was crazy, he was on drugs, all these drugs that he was on, and they ignore this portion of his health. And I think that's incredibly dangerous. I think it's irresponsible of them to do that. And these are intelligent men, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones. These are two intelligent, bright people with large audiences. They know Kanye's history. They know his past. They are just choosing to be ignorant and leave that out for whatever reason, to paint whatever narrative. But yes, we're going to watch the video here. And I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on it.
Alongside Stalin's forces. I mean, really, it's so hateful. What happened to Kanye? Do you still talk to him?
No, I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's disturbed.
Yeah.
And I think he got screwed over in business. I think a lot of what he said was true. But he'd be like, I'm flying to Austin to come on the show. And then halfway through, he'd call up and say, I think they're going to kill me. I'm turning back. And then next time, a couple times he said that, I didn't believe he'd be there. So he flies in one night. I take him to a nice hotel. He doesn't like it, leaves, middle of the night. I didn't babysit him. I dropped him off, left. And he went to some downtown hotel. Next day, my show's starting at 11 a.m. Central. And I'm like, okay, so he hadn't fallen. That's fine. Start my show. He pulls up wearing a GIMP mask. And I said, look.
What's a GIMP mask? It's a GIMP. That reminds me. It's the interview of Kanye, and there's some lawyers on the phone or on the Zoom, whatever. And he's on his phone. He's looking down. And he's like, you guys don't deserve my geniuses to pay attention. My geniuses, I can be on my phone and talk to you guys at the same time. And then he puts on the mask, and the guy goes, Kanye, why have you donned the mask? Oh, it was perfect. Why have you donned the mask, Kanye?
You can wear it for a while, but you take it off.
Do you have a lot of guests with gimp masks on?
No, I don't. and so he just goes on and says he loves Hitler over and over again, which I guess it like presses on the nerve of edgelording.
Yeah, no.
So it's like, I'm being bad. That only goes so far. And then I think I understood why he was wearing the mask.
Why?
Well, after the show, he goes back there and pulls the mask off to eat salad. And the pupils were just pure black.
Oh. So what's that from? Just being high. Someone comes.
6-7 hits of ecstasy, I think, might do it. I don't know. I was like, he was, I've never seen anybody with pure black pupils.
Really?
He pulled it off. It was like glowing. He was just, and I was like, he's sitting there eating a salad. And I went, oh, now I understand what's going on. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so maybe this is these two here lack some education, you could say, towards people with different mental health disorders, disabilities, or people with mental illnesses. But so Kanye is known for having bipolar disorder, and a common symptom when you're bipolar and you're going through these episodes of mania, which Kanye going on Alex Jones' show and talking about how much he loves the Nazis and how much he loves Hitler and Benjamin Netanyahu and these different things. He's clearly manic. And even Alex here talking about his eyes being dilated and black. When you're manic, your eyes change how they appear. Usually they'll be very glossed over, or your pupils will be a lot bigger. So for them to claim that Kanye is just out of his mind on drugs here, I think it's kind of low intelligent take by Alex here. I think he probably knows better that Kanye's just not on a ton of drugs. He's probably not acting that way just because he's drugged out of his mind. Maybe they're giving him some excuse or room, but a common symptom of being manic and mania is your eyes actually change. It's very common, either through obviously them being glazed over, like I said, but you can actually feel your eyes, they feel different. So I'm sure Kanye is aware of this. That's probably why he dons the mask in these interviews, that he is potentially in these elevated states and different states of reality and different mental health states. But for Tucker and Alex here to just claim he's out of his mind on drugs it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird interpretation and representation of the situation.
Maybe a bunch of methamphetamine mixed with acid.
This month, Nutrifarms is welcoming you to...
So he's claiming he's on meth and acid and ecstasy. Come on, Alex.
I don't know. I looked it up. It's hardcore drugs can do that.
Wow.
I'm trying to be mean to him. I felt like I was actually...
Oh, no, you're not being mean to him.
I felt like I was being abusive even letting him on air, when it was... Because he was obviously out of his mind.
And that was kind of the last anyone really heard from him. That was it, kind of. That was the end of Kanye, I think.
He's like, I'm going to take the mask off now. And he just pulls it off. And I was just like, because it's like a boardroom thing, table with harsh light. And I'm standing right there and he's sitting there. And I'm watching him just like going, and I was like, wow.
So there was no one around him who cared enough to keep him off the air in that state, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, he comes in wearing the mask. I'm like, hey, I don't think I'm going to do this. I'm fine. I'll take it off in a minute.
So I don't know if you could say that he didn't have anyone around him that cares enough to stop him in this potentially harmful state to his image or whatever you want to say about the situation. Kanye's going to do Kanye. Kanye's going to be Kanye. That's why everyone loves him. But for someone that's manic or someone in these states of mind, they can be very convincing. They can appear normal talk normal. Maybe they talk more excessively or more sporadically, but they can still be very persuasive. And to someone, especially in Kanye's position with as much influence and impact and authority that he has on different things, who's going to tell him no from, and I think this was in his campaign in 2024 for presidency, who's going to convince him no from doing an interview? Like, it's probably not going to happen. So it's hard. It can be hard to talk someone down from these, from maybe doing something similar to this, or potentially talking someone down from going live on the internet or posting different things on the internet or tweeting about different things. And then you come out of these episodes, you come out of these different states of reality that you're in, and you go, oh fuck, what have I done? And you look at the burning bridges around you. You look at the buildings falling, your relationships scattered and broken in every direction. And you look at the words you said online and you go, what have I done? That's what happens sometimes. You go, what have I done? The world is falling. The sun is falling.
And then it goes in there, and I go, take it off. No, I'm not taking it off. And it was just Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. Like, hit the button, Hitler, 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 Hitler. You know, it's like you can rig up, I guess, cocaine for like a pigeon or a rooster or whatever. They'll just hit the button, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Eating it forever. And I was just like, and like, that's the problem with getting those guys on the air. Because I'll have them on for a debate, but it's literally, they just go.
So, yeah,
any of now, they just go, Hitler, 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 Hitler. It's like they really stepped into the office of the right now. So,
yeah, but that's not, I mean, that's a life enhancing drug. I've used it before. So, but do you know what happened to him? Like, he just kind of disappeared.
I just know he trots around that super hot wife of his and half naked.
Yeah. That's not good.
No, it's debasing of her.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and of him, it's his wife.
Yeah.
So
he also just pushes the limits of everything. It's what he does. So for him to take his wife, what is her name, Bianca Censori, and to just parade her around naked and do these things of her and show her to the world in these ways, and for someone to look at that and go, oh my God, I can't believe Kanye would do that to his wife, is why he does it. For him, for someone to go, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before. This is why he does these things. He wants to be first. He does things. He sees the world in different ways than other people do. In a creative way, in a visionary way. So even in that aspect. But yeah, so in this interview, these two, they don't touch on his past of mental health or mental illness and his history of that. They both know that he has a past with mental health and mental illness problems. They are both well aware of that. And they, I don't know, I guess you could say willingly or for whatever reason, they left that out of the conversation. They left that out of bringing that up, that could be a potential for some of his actions or some of the things he's doing or saying. And it's strange, I guess you could say. Maybe they think it's inexcusable, some of the things he says and does, and that he shouldn't even be given the opportunity for that excuse to be brought up. But I want to look at because what I said about the eyes. Let me look this up real quick. Is it common for people's eyes to change how they Is it common for people's eyes to change how they look while manic? Short answer, yes. Many people feel like their eyes look different during mania, and others often notice it too. But it's not the eye itself physically changing structure, it's the expression, intensity, and behavior of the eyes. Here's what actually happens. Common changes people report or others noticing during mania. Brighter or wider eyes. Mania increases arousal, adrenaline, and activity in the sympathetic nervous system. Pardon me. That can make the eyes appear more open, more alert, lit up, or shiny. Faster or more intensive eye movements. People in mania tend to scan the room more, look around quickly, or maintain strong eye contact. A different gaze. People describe this as laser focus, a spark in the eyes, wide eyes, too intense. It's not supernatural, it's physiological and psychological arousal. Facial expressions shift. The muscle around the eyes, brow, upper eyelid, cheek become more animated or tense. This can make the eyes seem bigger, sharper, or more expressive. Why this happens? And during mania, dopamine increases, norepinephrine. How do you say this word? Norepinephrine. That's a hard one to pronounce. Increases, adrenaline increases, sleep decreases, emotional intensity increases. Norepinephrine. Okay, we'll work on that one another time. This combination inherently changes your look, especially your eyes, which are some of the most expressive parts of the face. Yeah, so like I said, oftentimes during mania, the eyes they will change in their expression, their intensity. So I do believe that was, instead of Kanye there being that he's just strung out on drugs and acid or meth and cocaine, as Alex was saying there, it is a potential that he was manic, going through a manic episode, which his actions in that time, his words, the things he was doing and displaying would definitely coincide with mania and a manic episode. So for them to just willingly ignore that, put that to the side, and not allow that conversation into the equation at all, I think it's unfortunate. And I think it is damaging to obviously not only Kanye, but to the people similar, like me, similar, Kanye, and the world of mental health and mental illness, to, I guess, to not be given that level of acceptance or that potential room for honesty, that they may be sick, that they may be going through something, they may be acting out this way, they may be saying these things or doing these things very out of character, very outrageous, derogatory, impulsive, sporadic, whatever it is, and to leave out the potential for the room that maybe there's something wrong with them. Not something wrong, but currently this is out of their normal character. These are out of their normal actions. So willing to leave that out of the conversation, I think, is damaging for people of mental health and mental illnesses altogether. But those were the two videos I wanted to go through. And like Alex and like Tucker there, they're talking about Kanye. It's kind of a prime example. These are two media figures, two media talking heads. That's kind of how the media, as a blanket, portrays people of mental health, mental illnesses. It's kind of a great example that they talk about his actions. They characterize him as crazy, insane, strung out on drugs, taking meth, cocaine, these different things. But they completely leave out the fact of his well-known history and his health and the potential for that to be a common factor, or for that to be the factor for these actions and these types of things happening. So I think the media needs to stop portraying us in this light. We are misunderstood. We are misrepresented. Misrepresented. We are misrepresented in this light and in these terms by the media represents us. The movies represent us. The movies, the media depict how the mental health, the mental illness, the crazy, bipolar, schizophrenic, psychosis, depressed people, how they look, how they act. What they show in the movies and the TVs and how they describe us, the people, is what is represented. Not us coming and being a part of the conversation or expressing and talking and representing ourselves and kind of depicting and picking apart what's accurate, what's not accurate, potentially what could be changed, what should be changed, what we think a better approach to certain things are. And until that starts happening, the increase in people being put on medications, the increase of young boys and girls going to mental facilities and committing suicides and being diagnosed with these mental illnesses, that's just going to continue. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more that goes into the increased suicide rates and the very bad, traumatic things that the internet is doing to the kids. There are several and plenty of reasons for the increase in the mental health numbers that continue going up. But until the mental health and mental illness and the psychiatry get a fair representation of what we are, until we get humanized properly and stop being looked at as crazy and insane, it's just going to continue ruining lives. People are just going to be continuously funneled into the system of mental health, and then they're going to be spit out with their little pill bottle and their label of crazy, something wrong with them, and they are going to march through life to their grave taking those pills and thinking that something's wrong with them. And that framework needs to change. The framework of something is wrong with you. That entirely, that's gone. It doesn't matter if you get diagnosed ADHD, with anxiety, severe depression, bulimia, whatever it is, whatever you get diagnosed with, the instant thought in your mind that correlates to I now have something wrong with me because of that needs to dissipate. That has to go away. Because you cannot carry that thought with you. Because that label that you're given, the schizophrenia, the depression, whatever the label is, that label doesn't go away. So the thinking that now comes with the label of something wrong with you will only be detrimental to you going forward. And this was one of the big realizations that I had after going through this, because for many years I would go through these cycles of I would have an episode happen, I could end up in hospital, and then I'm out of hospital and I'm on these new medications and I put on all this weight and life's not going well because now I'm fat, now my clothes don't fit. I had this thing happen. My identity is now with this thing. My identity is now to this label from the mental health and psychiatry system. So the thinking and the negative impact of the thinking towards these labels and towards thinking that something is wrong with you inherently because you have and have gone through these experiences, we're going to shut that down, okay? We're shutting that down. Because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it's not going to help people get better. It's not going to help inspire people. It's not going to help motivate people. How are people going to be motivated to get out of bed and to go do and achieve great things if they just identify as a mentally ill, depressed person? That's not a good base. That's not a good core foundation to get up and go be a conqueror, to go discover and create new things and be a positive light in this world, be a positive contributor to this world. That, you know what I mean? If you have this negative view and this negative impression of yourself that is severely detrimental because of one lived experience, or because one thing happened, or a psychotic episode, or a thing happened to you in your life, that can't define you for your whole life. You cannot let that define you for your whole life. Because ultimately, if you let that define you, that's added weight. That's baggage that you are now carrying around, and you're weighing yourself down, and ultimately you're going to drown yourself with that baggage. Because nobody can carry the weight of thinking they are lesser of a human. Nobody deserves to carry the weight of thinking they're incapable of doing things, or carrying the weight of thinking that there's something wrong with them, that there's something wrong with their brain, because they had this very natural human experience that happens to tons and tons of people, that have happened to tons and tons of people throughout time. And throughout different periods of time, these people who have gone through psychotic episodes and psychosis, and who are more in touch with these emotions, who potentially feel deeper emotions, the depressions, the anxieties, that inherently feel that something is very wrong with the world potentially, or very wrong with the way the world is interacting with them and how they are interacting with the world. Different periods of time, these people were sages, they were shamans, they were whatever. They were wizards, they were witches, all different kinds of things, okay? But today, now, we are the mentally ill. And I don't want people to feel bad or feel that they are incapable because they are the mentally ill. I want the complete opposite. They are special. They are much more capable. They see the world differently. They feel the world differently. Inherently. You may be depressed. You may be anxious. But that is for good reason. There's not no reason that you're feeling that way. Maybe you know that your job is destroying you. Maybe you know that the things you're seeing in your day-to-day life, or going to that job that you don't like anymore, is eating away at your soul. And you know that. And it's good that you feel that. And maybe sometimes it's easier to just take the pills and take the medications and suppress that feeling so you don't feel that way anymore. But I think people, and no, this isn't me saying stop taking your medications, but I do think people sometimes need to look at why they feel that way. Analyze your life, reflect on your life, and say, why am I depressed? Why am I so anxious all the time? Am I doing things that may be out of the morality of what I stand for, of what I believe in? Am I going to a job every day that I don't support, that I don't believe in? I don't feel motivated. I don't feel meaning or purpose in doing this work, but every day I show up and I do it. That may be eating at your soul, but maybe you never stop to think and look at the reasons why you're depressed or why you're anxious. You just say you are. And it's easier to take the pills. It's easier for the doctors to hand out the pills and not hear from these people. And that's another thing I'm going to talk about a lot in this show, is how much doctors and the world of psychiatry need to stop just giving out diagnoses left and right like it's a fire sale. It is not a fire sale. And just because someone has a different thought on the world, just because someone fell and scraped their knee, they do not need a mental illness diagnosis. And I know that last one sounds wild, but the mental health book, the DSM-5, that is this big, with different diagnoses, that they add hundreds and hundreds of different diagnoses to this, so that every type of person eventually will fit into this book of a psychiatric patient that needs to be medicated. This needs to stop. This cannot go on. You cannot continue building this book. We need to cut this book. This book is done. We're done with this book, okay? The DSM-5, we're done with it. We're done with adding diagnoses. We're done with adding diagnoses. How do you say this? Diagnostics. Anyways, we're done. Like, you can't just keep adding more and more and more, because you will find a way to jam everyone into this book and to medicate everyone. And then you will just have a population of people that walk around medicated, dull, lifeless, that get their little hits of dopamine from their phone, their little IV bag of dopamine from their phone right into their veins, and everyone will just be lifeless zombies medicated in this world. So we need to stop trying to just think that medication and diagnosing people will solve the problems of this world, because it won't. That is the furthest thing from the truth. We need to humanize people, and we need to genuinely look at solutions, and we need to look at why they are feeling this way and why they are having these problems, instead of looking symptoms. Okay, you fall into the category of this, or this. We can put you on this pill, or this pill. Those are your options, okay? So you come into the doctor's office. You're a young kid. You have this problem. You feel anxious because maybe you're on your phone 14 hours a day, and you're consuming social media. You're consuming the world news at all times. You're consuming bombings in other parts of the world. Yeah, anyone's going to feel super anxious. So you go into the doctor's office and you go, yeah, I'm anxious all the time. But you don't look at any of the things you're doing in your life. You don't look at your life as a whole. So then you end up medicated. Now you're just medicated. Now you just don't feel those things anymore. You're not better. Maybe you're better. Honestly, maybe sometimes you're better, but you're probably not better. You're just numb now. You're numb to what you felt before. And instead of looking at your life and saying, okay, maybe I don't need to go on my phone so much. Maybe I don't need to know about the bombings all across the world, because that's not good for me. That's not good for anyone. You know what I mean? It's easy for the people, and it's easy for the doctors to just medicate and not actually look and diagnose what the problems are. Instead of looking at, do you exercise? Do you go outside? Do you get sunlight? How often do you communicate with the people around you? Do you have loving connections to friends, family? How much time do you spend on your phone? How much time do you spend playing video games? How much porn do you watch? How much junk food do you eat? Are you taking drugs? Do you vape? Do you vape more than you breathe oxygen? I mean, you know what I mean? These are things that could be looked at. Do you meditate? Do you spend time in nature? Etc., etc. The list goes on of potential things that could benefit your life, instead of instantly getting medicated and suppressed now. And now you were funneled into the system and shoved along into the world of psychiatry that you are going to stay. Many people, I don't believe, escape the world of psychiatry. Once you're in that tunnel, once you're in that system, it's you start one medication, and they usually add more and more medications until those problems go away. Even this is a weird thing, and this is I feel very, very strongly towards this one in particular. I would go in and see psychiatrists. Not once in 7 years have I been asked, how much do I work out? I haven't been asked, how much do I work out? I have not been asked, how much time do I spend on my phone? I have not been asked what my diet looks like. Sorry, I was trying to think. I have not been asked what my diet looks like. I've been asked what my sleep looks like. I've been asked what like my living situation looks like. But why is diet, exercise, phone usage, like why are these things not being asked as part of a medical standard line of questioning? Does this medical system, and I don't think it's psychiatrists, I think psychiatrists have a lot, I think most of them are overrun. They have too many patients, so they just bang, 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 they hit their questions, they have their medical training they went through, and they spit that up to every patient that comes in. So they don't have enough time to build true connections and honestly, I mean, but is that an excuse? Like, what is this system built upon? Excuses for people not being treated properly, for not getting the health practices that they deserve? So like I said, in 7 years, I'm not asked what my diet looks like, what my workout routine looks like, what my phone usage looks like. And why? Why am I not being asked these questions? Why are youthful kids, especially younger than me, I'm 25, think about a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old going into a doctor's office. Why are they not being asked, how many hours a day do you play video games? How many hours a day do you spend on your phone? Do you vape? Do you exercise? What does your diet look like? Instead of instantly medicating these people and suppressing those young hormonal changes, those young emotions, it's just ignored. And why is this the system? Why? These are some of the fundamental, and like that's not even like a big change. That's just common sense. And that's one that pisses me off. And I've honestly brought that up to doctors. I've said, why have you guys not even asked me these basic fundamental questions? These are basic fundamental questions that any living person, especially a doctor, I think would ask people. What's my hair doing over there? Got a little wave. Yeah, I don't know, you know? But yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of mental health stuff. And honestly, these first couple shows I think will be the hardest ones for me. Just due to the fact that I don't have anyone really communicating with me, obviously in the chats or through anything yet. But once I do have okay, this piece of hair is nonsense. Once I do have more of a community built and more people asking questions, asking me to talk about specific situations and experiences, hopefully this flows a lot easier. But ultimately, my goals are to rebuild. And I don't think the entirety of psychiatry needs to be demolished. I think a large portion of it needs to be demolished. But rebuild psychiatry with voices of people who have gone through it, who have lived it, and who can actually make impactful changes. And obviously there are nurses, doctors in hospitals that represent this world that have gone through it. But I think there can always be an effort to do more. Because even as in the recent years of me going through these lived experiences, I see tons and tons of opportunities for more to be done, for people to live a easier, happier life coming out of this world, and also going through these very tough, traumatic situations in their life that could potentially impact the rest of their lives. Especially if you go through a manic episode, you get diagnosed with schizophrenia, you go through a psychotic episode, you're bulimic, severe depression, suicide attempts in your teenage years, that can define your life for a lot of time. So anything that can make that process easier and the process following those years and that maybe that initial experience is that's what we're gonna do. I've got a ton of ideas. There's lots that can be done. There's lots of good people. There's lots of people with really good hearts, really good intentions, especially in the world of mental health. These are people that have hurt deeply. These are people that have felt alone. These are people that have felt suicidal or made suicide attempts or felt that they are the outcasts of this world. So to feel that deeply about things and then to want to usher in change that can benefit a lot of people, it will be an amazing process and a lot of amazing things will be done. But I'm gonna probably do this at the end. I guess I've been on here for an hour and a half talking, just blabbering about whatever. We're gonna go and check out Reddit. I did that last time. The last show I did, I was on Reddit. And I think Reddit is good because, like I said, a lot of people, outcast type, maybe people that aren't as social or maybe don't have as many friends, whatever it is, they end up putting their problems on Reddit, looking for answers, looking for help on Reddit or Discord, these types of internet platforms. So different Reddit threads I like to look through because I can see patterns of common problems that people have. And I can also come on here, go on Reddit and answer questions that maybe some people are asking with my lived experiences. So let's go and do that. We are on Reddit. Okay. Let's start in psychosis. Yeah, let's just read through something. Oh, best. I love... that looks like Walter White up here. This dude? Kinda. People in the world of mental health is by far, if you have schizophrenia, if you have bipolar disorder, if you're in the world of psychiatry, and you are an artist, poems, a writer, a musician, this is my favorite category of artists, by far. They have, when their mind is just dissociating and they make art and the faces are melting and there's clocks melting and the world is collapsing around them, it is by far my favorite art. It's the best. Okay, let's read some of these stories. That's a long one. Sorry. People who were on olanzapine for more than 3 years, how did you get off? Were there any improvement of side effects stopping the medication? How do you taper off? Was there a withdrawal medication along with it? Olanzapine sucks. I gained like 60 pounds on olanzapine. And anytime I've ever taken olanzapine, I gained so much weight and fast. And obviously, well, people say, well, a direct side effect isn't weight gain. The direct side effect is increased appetite. So if you just control your eating, whatever, fuck off. You're going to gain weight. You're going to gain weight with these medications. I promise you. You're going to get fat. Your clothes are not going to fit. Strange question. When you're feeling an episode coming on, do your eyes do anything? Mine feel like they're trying to be crossed and the writing on text and posts looks crooked. How common is hearing things you've never heard before? Like hearing words you don't use or phrases you don't know and don't use in a daily vocabulary, but then you do the Googling and find it matches up completely with the delusions and hallucinations, therefore validating the story of the voices even more. The brain really pick up something I heard on a TV show or a whim from 5 years ago and use it against me like that? It's quite incredible, but really quite terrifying at the same time. Sometimes it's way too real. I don't know. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I'd assume your subconscious is constantly on. Just because you're not aware, your subconscious is incredibly intelligent, if not more intelligent than our thinking conscious mind. So yeah, hearing TV noises, hearing things in songs, even like from childhood, you could know things that your subconscious picked up. Okay, he's got clothes on at least. I didn't know what that dude had clothes on. That was close. You got some more art here. Okay. I've noticed people have a very strong... When was this message? I didn't see that. What up, bitch? Carrig. People have a very strong desire to want to express their episodes or share what they went through, either through journaling or I'm doing it as well. I'm sitting here recording a live stream of me talking about stuff. But yeah, it's a very common occurrence to want to share and kind of have a creative outlet to these types of things. Friend in psychosis. What do I do? Hi, everyone. As title states, I think my friend is in psychosis, and I'm really not sure what to do. We're not really close by any means. We only talk occasionally, and I don't know where this stays. Her parents' phone number, so I don't know how to get her help she needs. She's been talking about how nothing is real. Everything is fake. People are assigned to us at birth to follow us, and how doctors have been putting hallucinogenics in her food and water to control her mind. They have been. She's right. Just kidding. I don't know what to do here, and I'm afraid if I say something wrong, it'll end up just spurring her further into her episode. Any advice? I'm really concerned for her safety, especially since she's been struggling a lot with her mental health, and I'm scared she might end up harming herself or someone else. Yeah, call the police. Yeah, if you're scared someone's going to end up harming themselves, I want to hug you and not let you out. What? Carrig, you want to hug me and not let me out? You can't hug me forever. Yeah, if you feel someone's going to harm themselves, potentially in a very negative way, you need to call the police. You have to call. It doesn't matter if that's like a close relative, a close friend that may be mad at you forever or whatever it is. If someone is like threatening their own life or threatening their own safety, you have to call the police. So yeah, I would say call the police. Say, my friend, whatever, is gonna hurt themselves. Where's some art? I want to see some art. Okay, there's a cactus. It's not the prettiest. People never told me I was delusional, and I told people the most insane stuff anyone come up with. Oh my god, this is funny. This is the worst. So, in times of whatever mental illness episodes or psychosis, whatever, I would explain it as you don't have a filter anymore. Obviously, when you talk to someone or you have speech just talking normal, things come up and you can filter through and you go, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't say that word or swear or whatever it is. Or you'll have thoughts that are very interesting or bad, and they filter. But in episodes or in psychosis or when you're in these delusional states, you have no filter. There is no filter, okay? You will say anything. And your deepest fears, your deepest insecurities are coming out. And you almost don't have shame though. You're not shameful at the time, so it doesn't matter. But maybe later down the line, a friend or a family member will say, hey, do you remember when you told me this? And you're like, please kill me. You're like, why did you tell me that you knew that? Like you wish you didn't know that you told someone that, and it's the worst thing ever, okay? Because there's no filter, there's no shame in these moments. It's pretty funny. I mean, it's not funny, but I told people the most insane stuff. Yeah, feel ya, brother. I feel ya. I believe this comes from the devil. All the horrible experiences I went through, I believe, happened because the devil was attacking me. Not to say I didn't live in sin and deserved it, but I'm 100% sure Jesus is the answer, and I encourage you all to share faith in him. Jesus is the answer. You are correct. I agree 100%. And I do. The states of psychosis or delusion can be very very spiritual in nature, I find. I personally, I go through these I get very connected to God. I get very connected to nature in almost like this like supernatural way. It's almost like an overflowing, an overpouring of God and of love, and in different times and in different ways. It's pretty incredible. Like some people say psychosis is spiritual awakening in a sense, which I definitely believe to some extent that some psychotic and psychosis episodes are misdiagnosed. They are spiritual awakenings and spiritual enlightenment, but our society in today's world has no room for that anymore. The doctors have no consideration for spiritual awakenings or being shamans and these types of figures anymore. That's gone. So they will squash you like a bug if that's what you believe. So if that's what you believe, be quiet. Just don't tell them. Okay, let's find another one here. Is this psychosis, forgetting or facing delusions? Cult-induced psychosis. Okay, let's go to... I don't like going to depression. Whenever I look at like the Reddit thread of depression, it's just people being like, yeah, I want to kill myself. And it's like, it's hard to help someone. Or like, what do you even say? When life falls apart, your brain literally turns against you. Ever notice how when things go wrong, you lose a job, relationships fade, you stop feeling useful, everything suddenly feels 10 times heavier? That's not just emotion, that's chemistry. When your brain senses that you've fallen low in life's hierarchy, no mate, no friends, no progress, it lowers your serotonin. That's your built-in survival signal. You become hypersensitive to pain, and the little joy you had left starts to fade. You're not just sad. Your body's reacting as if you're at the edge of the world. Depression isn't weakness. It's biology screaming that it's time to rebuild your place in the world. Yeah, I believe that too. I believe depression like I said earlier, I think it's your soul telling you something's wrong. If that's like your workplace, if you're showing up to work every day and you're getting more and more depressed with things, I think that's like your soul guiding you and telling you that, like, hey, this job isn't for you. Let's get the fuck out of here and go do something else. So yeah, I think that's biology. Pride in front of daughter. I'm ready to see heaven. Ooh, I don't want to read that one. I don't want to read that one. I try to, I mean, although I want to help as many people as possible and be kind of a voice of the mental health world, I do try to avoid, I avoid threads of very depressive things because it's kind of like the saying, I guess this could work, but it's like when you stare into the abyss also stares into you. So if you kind of look into people who are feeling suicidal or very negative about their life constantly, that kind of thinking and that kind of, especially if you're a very like empathetic person, it can kind of seep into you and negatively impact you. You can kind of start feeling their pain. So you have to be very conscious of not letting that into your world and seeping into your psyche. Okay, let's go look at this. Okay, some pictures. Everyone acting weird around me. Okay. That's pretty cool. See, they're just, people are artists. Like the mentally ill of the world. They're artists. They're creative people. They don't fit the norm of society. So they're just suppressed. And when I say we're suppressed to fit into the boxes. We are suppressed to fit into the guidelines of society that they deem acceptable and reasonable to interact in this world, and it's bullshit. It is bullshit, is what it is. How do I go back? I feel like my crush. Yeah, there we go. I just want to look at the art. I wish there was just an art section, honestly. Of like, oh, this stuff's cool. Look at this. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Just like melting, like mind melting. Some cool stuff. Okay, yeah, like I said before, next time I go live, I think I should just pick out a few questions off Reddit beforehand to some good ones that I can talk about and answer. But that is today's episode of Be My Guest. That is episode 3, and a lot of these topics that I hit on today, or that I'll talk about in the future, will be they'll be reoccurring topics because ultimately they need to be changed. Some of these things need change. They need to be drilled and talked about and kind of broken down how we can go about fixing some of the problems in the structure of the world of psychiatry and the structure of how we think about these things, how we set up our mindset around thinking about the labels and the diagnoses. I think it's diagnoses. Diagnoses. That one's tripping me up. That word right there is tripping me up today. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good show. An hour and 45 minutes. Showed a couple clips. Talked about evil Mr. Beast. Talked about Kanye. We're going to talk about Kanye a lot. Of course, we're going to talk about Kanye. He's a very impactful figure, not only in the world of music and art, but I guess in the world of psychiatry and mental health as well. He's a very misunderstood figure. And I think there's a lot to dissect there that I guess the world can interact with maybe in a better way regarding the situations that we find ourselves in and that he has found himself in. But yeah, so that is going to be episode 3 of Be My Guest. To my few viewers in the chats, I appreciate you. I'm very grateful to you guys. And come along, drop a follow. If you have any questions or comments that you would ever want me to talk about experiences, that would be awesome, because that makes my life easier. I get to expand upon and talk about and potentially help people that want to know about these different things. But yeah, this is the beginning of a great adventure of representing and defending. We are going to defend psychiatry. We are going to defend the mentally ill like our life depends on it, okay? Because there are so many people, there are so many kids, adults, that are being funneled into the world of psychiatry. And it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. And once those people are in this world of psychiatry, they need a way to get themselves out of it. They need a way to still believe that they have a chance for a great, prosperous life. And I don't think that's not crazy to think that way. That's not crazy to believe that that's possible. So I am going to be the defendant. I'm going to defend the people of mental health, and we are going to do great things, okay? We're going to do great things in this world, in the Be My Guest saga. So thank you for watching. That is Be My Guest episode 3. I will be back on tomorrow. I should be back on every day, okay? I'm going to stream every day. So, bye guys.